let's get serious about soft skills.
Yes.
No, do you know what? This comes from the back of a conversation we had last time, wasn't it? To be fair, around why do they call them soft skills? And we actually found out why they called them soft skills, didn't we? And now the actual reason escapes me completely.
It's from the US military. So anyone that was dealing with machineries, they called them hard skills because because they're made out of metal. Yeah. And soft skills was the communication and more personality based side of things. So that's where it come from. Hard skills was machinery, soft skills was everything else, which is quite interesting. And it kind of makes sense.
It does make sense.
If you're in the military. But when you're an accountant, respectfully, like,
do you get a Kevlar jacket? Or
it depends on what accountancy. maybe certain areas quite
Bitcoin,
high risk customers.
Cryptocurrency.
Yeah. But so it makes sense, I guess, from that perspective. It's like you're dealing with machinery.
Yeah.
But in modern day white collar offices, other than a laptop, you're not really dealing with a lot of physical machinery.
I mean, you're in danger of a paper cut now and again.
Yeah, they do hurt though.
They do
hurt.
A
paper cut is actually quite serious.
Yeah, probably not as much as being in the military.
No,
to add.
Just to clarify, I'd rather get a paper cut than injured in the military.
But
absolutely.
Interesting. So it's the idea of having an actual engineering skill. Of sorts.
Effectively. And then anything else was, I guess, a soft skill because it's not dealing with machines.
Kind of makes sense, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. And weirdly enough, though, I suppose where the majority, no one really that we place actually has any mechanical work at all, do they, that we place?
No. I guess lab
work,
but then it's not
that
like
is skill.
Yeah,
that's probably the closest it gets in terms of instruments and machinery.
Not in digital, I'd imagine.
It's laptops.
Yeah, like an engineering
servers,
digital is still, it's all online. They're not. Yeah, I mean, from an IT infrastructure perspective, but
so that's it then. So more like the physical things.
Yeah,
there is only a few things a few skills that we would get involved with. Maybe it would be like infrastructure, like you say, lab scientists who are actually doing maintenance on instruments. That's about as close as it gets for us, isn't it? I would have thought.
Yeah, or like general office management.
Lugging stuff around.
Yeah, literally. Or putting desks together.
So you're the hard skills.
Yeah.
If you're the office manager.
I don't know. I'm pretty useless at that sort of stuff. I normally just stand around and hope.
No, I think Ben's the funniest for me. Give him an Allen key.
Everything.
Like, wow.
Yeah, everything's done.
Yeah.
Like everything. Anything that doesn't even need to be Allen keyed up is tighter. Yeah. Which is great because historically the office chairs we've had,
they've been awful.
These are unreal.
Yeah,
this isn't a sponsored ad, but
sponsored ad by Corsair.
Yeah, if they do want to sponsor us though, we're very much up for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I was going with that. I lost myself with the sponsored ad.
Oh, we had to build it, didn't we? I think that's
that
the
was
whole
where I
point.
was going. Yeah, unless you're actually building things with your hands, but then it's not part of your job description.
No, I suppose not.
The joys of a startup is just getting involved and kind of being a painter and decorator as well as your day job.
I would have thought nowadays though, soft skills, the actual title just seems wrong.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those softer skills are exactly what a lot of people look for now.
Yeah,
so you can be a highly skilled scientist, infrastructure guy in the sectors that we work in, but if you haven't got the personality to back it up, you could be passed very quickly.
Yeah, 100%. And also I think, although they're called soft skills, they're the hardest things to teach.
Definitely.
It's from a technical perspective, you can train someone on a system or how to follow a process. It's very difficult to train someone to be able to be a clear communicator. You can definitely work with people to improve, but I think you need to have that within you as well. It's not just as simple as saying, right, here's a 2-day crash course on how to run a meeting.
Yeah.
Like it is something that has to be ingrained into you a little bit as well.
Definitely, I think so. It's something that it doesn't come naturally.
No.
Ultimately, I think that's it with this skill. Like if you an infrastructure guy or a mechanic, for example, you can learn how a car gets put together and the variety of car and how that actually works. But how you then would communicate that to another human being and say, well, this is what I've done and this is why and this is the that's the hard part of it. Being shown how to do something and learn that bit. I know it's not simple, but arguably is an easier thing to teach than it is right now and go and be a great communicator. And by the way, because you're really good technically, we're going to make you a lead and you're going to hire a load of little mini U's. But no one teaches you that part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I know we've always said as well, I think we even mentioned it on the last episode, is like the best, sometimes just because you're the best at the job doesn't necessarily mean you're the best leader.
That's right.
And just because someone's not the best at the actual role itself doesn't mean they're not a great leader. Because if they've just got really good people skills, then effectively they should be the ones that are promoted to management quicker. But then on the other flip side, just because you're amazing at what you do, if it's like a developer, for example, you should be rewarded for being very good at what you do. And also a lot of people say, well, if I specialise in development, I want to be developing and writing code. I don't want to be managing people and doing appraisals. I'd much rather get on with doing what I enjoy. Where someone that loves people and also is average at developing goes, okay, I know how to work with people, and then I can do the bit that I enjoy, and then I can do a little bit of coding when and where I have to.
Do you know what? I think that's actually a great way to think about it, because a lot of companies will just promote individuals based on their technical ability and go, right, you can get to a certain point, but to get beyond that point, you now need to be a manager, a leader, like all the strategical kind of work of things. But if you're the type of individual who doesn't lean into that, does that mean that my progression's over?
Yeah, exactly. Like, where's the next step for you?
Yeah.
If you don't want to run a team and have all these people reporting into you, but you just say, look, I really enjoy what I do, just let me do that well. Yeah. And it's probably to the detriment of a lot of businesses as well, because
I think so.
You're taking someone off of the, you're taking someone out of the work and putting them into more of a managerial strategic role, who's filling that gap of where they were actually the doer, And
also, I've seen this, oh my God, countless times, where you get some, and I'm going to call it exactly it is, some egotistic maniac who thinks they're just amazing because they're technically great, and then the company go, oh, we can't afford to lose you, so we'll pay you a load of money and you can run a team. You think, you're an absolute idiot.
Yeah.
Like, you do not understand exactly what you've just done there. You might as well just put a little grenade in and gone, let's just watch by the side, see what happens.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's completely unrelated, but it reminds me of like when Rude Hullett, I think he took over as manager of, I'm up in Edgar Davids actually, took over as manager of like Barnsley.
Edgar Davids was manager at Barnsley?
I'm going to Google this very quickly just so I make sure I get the right player. Edgar Davids, Barnsley coach.
He was a legend, wasn't he?
Or Barnet it might have been.
Barnet.
Either way, I'm not putting down any of those clubs, but Edgar Davids was a lot better than Barnet. And they said on the first training, he just walked in and just picked the ball up and played a 40-yard pass on both feet and was like, why can't you do that?
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I think one of the players went, because I play for League Two side Barnet. So it's the exact same thing you're talking about. It's like, it's a fantastic player, technically excellent. As a manager, it didn't work because you can't just say, I can do it, why can't you?
Yeah. It's a shame, actually, and it's not the same as in he's a bad manager, but Vieira as well. He's obviously got sacked recently, didn't he? Amazing player in my mind. But was it him as a manager, really?
We used to look at all of the managers that have been sacked recently that were ex-players. We got like Lampard, Gerrard, Vieira. Look at those three. Fantastic players that have immediately gone into management, and they've not gone through the ranks. I know, Gerrard went to Rangers and Lampard went to Derby, but any other manager has gone through and managed, lower league sides, League Two, under youth clubs, and I'm sure those guys have done that as well. But they're the youngest managers, and they're the ones that have been sacked the quickest. Yeah, there's a reason why Roy Hodgson gets a job every 9 months. He's like 70 or 79 or whatever he is.
It's true though.
But he's a good manager.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fancy playing him in the midfield.
No.
But he's a good manager.
Do you know what? Actually, the analogy here does work really well. Because ultimately what it is that it's very difficult to find good leads, good managers. So, all right, you've got to take a punt. You have to. I think, without being given the opportunity, you'll never know. And that person that may be exactly what I said, that egotistic maniac, might actually turn out to be a very good lead. Yeah. But it's then going, okay, if you can at least identify that, how you support them. And not just leave them on an island and go, well, we're paying you enough money, you should be a manager, you should know what you're doing now. Yeah.
And I think that's where TA teams and HR teams and business leaders already in the business need to do better, in the sense of going, right, you're a new manager, welcome to the club. It's like, well, how do I actually do this? Like everyone's quick to train. You go to a new company, they go, here's the new systems, here's the team, we'll introduce you. But no one actually says, this is how we actually run the business. This is what we want from our leaders. This is how you interview people. This is what we need in terms of your appraisals. What should it look like? What does good look like? What does bad look like? You're just sort of thrown into the deep end and gone, You just got a massive pay rise, and now you've got a team. What?
Now what?
Don't ask for any more.
I think also is a perception thing. So when you get to a leadership, you expect things to be really clinically executed, because it's like, whoa, you're the leads, and you're in your tower, and it's all cool. I reckon you get there and they just go, no, we're literally just winging it like everyone else.
Yeah,
I'm certain of that. I'm almost put my reputation on it that the majority of people actually are just winging it. Yeah, like in everyday life.
Yeah.
So why would you think you'd be any different to a manager to like an intern who's just figuring out their first job? Like, I really think that all the time. We're all humans. We only put our pants on one leg at a time. Why would you be any different? Yeah, you're telling me you're completely imperfect, that you're completely perfect even, and everything you do is systematically, completely executed exactly the way it should be. I don't think that exists.
No, not at all. And you'll see that in the teams as well, because they'll pick up the bad habits.
Yeah, that's where they get them from.
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
Above.
Always.
I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, we best avoid that subject. To be fair though, we have done that on purpose, haven't we? So in the office, we've banned a couple of subjects. Or is it science, religion, and politics?
Yeah,
because it just gets too messy.
Yeah,
it really does. I think from a soft skill perspective, communication. Yeah, we just avoid those subjects in the office at least.
And how much? Because a lot of it's opinion based as well. There is no right or wrong answer. I need it with soft skills as well. I think it's a little bit harder to qualify than the hard skills.
Yeah.
Where, how do you quantify what's good communication? Because what works in one business might not work in another business. If you've got like a sales leader, they need to be high energy, motivational. But if you're running a development team, for example, where typically it tends to be a lot quieter, they're focusing on the code, it probably needs to be more methodical. Yeah. If you sent a sales leader into a developer team, they're probably
I'd
going,
love to see that.
Yeah, like what is going on here? And vice versa. If you've got, someone that's leading a team of accountants where it's maybe a little bit more, I need my headphones in, I need to concentrate, I'm looking at numbers and data all day, and said, right now go and manage a sales team where they're just always, it's loud atmosphere, it's a little bit, competitive, and there's all of those sort of things that go with it as well.
You almost have to align the personalities within that group with the lead. Either way around. The lead should ultimately not mimic but complement the team in terms of those softer skills. And I don't tend to see tons of that with interviews, particularly that a lot of our clients do, where they use the same lines. I've hired loads of people, I know what good looks like. So I'm sure you have, but do you know the personalities of the team you're going to be hiring? They're going to be leading. Because if you don't know that, then what does it matter?
Yeah.
What does it matter about those actual individuals you're going to give that team, that new lead, if they can't complement who they are? Doesn't matter how good they are. Doesn't matter how much money you throw at them at all, actually.
Yeah, definitely. And also, it's like, I know what good looks like, but it's like, what if you go down the chain and we ask you, if we brought your ex-team members, what would they say about you? Because if you're going up the chain and going, well, the feedback's really great, the team's doing really well, everyone's really happy.
That's just results, isn't it? That's
just like, but if you actually speak to the people in the team, how do they feel that you're actually performing as a manager? And I think that's something that needs to be addressed as well. It's all well and good saying, when you're interviewing for a role, saying, you're going to meet boss and then one above, maybe the head of the whole team or the CEO if you're at a really senior level. What about the actual people you're managing? And how, it's difficult. You can't interview everyone, especially if you're running a team of 20 people. But to interview a handful, one or two, almost like a round robin style.
Why not?
And just get a feel of the business up and down the ladder as well.
Yeah, I think that's super important, because particularly if you work in quite a large organisation, that communication can get missed quite quickly. So the actual seniors can interpret what good looks like completely different to what's actually going on the ground, and you see that a lot, right? If you're not in the trenches, you don't see what's kind of happening day to day. It's quite easy to go, it's all fine down there, it's all working, all the results coming through. Look, my spreadsheet says it's all good. That happens, but in between it all, that's where that communication really runs dry. And that's just communication, right? That's just one of the soft skills we're thinking about. But ultimately, I'd like to see more organisations really thinking about soft skills and actually going, how can we invest in ensuring our employees have got the right kind of skills for this business? Not like a blanket version of it, it's almost doing like a real analysis and go, what personalities do you actually have in this business? And there's loads of different things you can use, like disc profiles, for example. People do like them, they don't like them, indifferent, whatever, but undeniably it does give you an idea of the types of personalities you have in individuals and in groups. So then when you start hiring for leads, you can ultimately start doing that and going, right, we need, like you said, more salesperson, needs to be more energetic, quite charismatic, etc., because that's the style of the team and we know they'll respond to that. It's like a focus group. Yeah. We do it with marketing all day long, so why don't we do it when we're hiring?
Yeah, no, exactly, because that is the customer base for leaders is the employees they're going to be managing. Yeah. And also I think a lot of times it's focuses on the team need to fit the manager rather than the other way around. The manager needs to fit the team, because it's, you can find a manager, try and replace a team of 20 people. Yeah. And what do you need? That goes into that as well.
Yeah. And also you've got to think, what do you need, a manager or a leader? Are they different?
I'd definitely say. I think for me a manager is more the operational day-to-day side of things, in terms of like making sure that the ship is sailing straight, whereas a leader is very much more of saying, right, where are we actually heading? And I think a leader is someone that takes a lot of interest in the individuals they're actually working for them as well. Yeah. Because like you said, it's all, they go, here's the spreadsheet, the results are fine, but then if you actually speak to the individuals that are doing the work to get those results, how are they feeling? And performing is one thing, but how do they actually, if you've got a team of 20 and 15 are going, I'm this close to leaving, all
how
of a
efficient
sudden,
is that?
How efficient if you just constantly have people that feel like they're on the edge.
And that's the trick, isn't it? That is the trick. And actually, do you know what, thinking about it, soft skills work for anyone in any part of this ladder. We obviously focus quite a lot on leads and ensuring those personality traits fit. But if you're on the other side of the coin and you're that person, say if you are that individual that's looking to walk out any minute because I've just had enough, my boss is whatever word you want to throw at him, he's a complete dick and all the rest of it, what's really going on there? Is it because he's an absolute dick, or she's a dick, or they're a dick, or whatever? Or is it that you're just not communicating it right? Are you just not really seeing what's going on? And I think that's a huge part of it as well, is to think, like, okay, how can I get better as a communicator? I mean, that's strong anyway. I think to ask anyone, are you a good communicator, is quite a trick question. Yeah. Straight off the bat. Yeah. How do you improve that? How do you improve communication?
Yeah, like, it's such a difficult one to quantify in terms of saying, like, okay, if someone comes up to you and says, I want to be a better communicator, it's like, well, number one, the fact that you come up to me and said it is a great start. Yeah. Like, I think people tend to go, a great communicator is an extrovert who's, able to speak to people quite easily, but not necessarily, because they might just be the loudest in the room. Yeah. And they're not letting anyone else speak. And an introvert might be better suited because the soft skills, and when I think people hear the word soft skills, they think about it being less important and more, I don't know the right word to use, but just not as important, a little bit.
It's secondary to the actual skill, I guess.
Yeah, not as important to the business, I think. Yeah. These are kind of the connotations that goes with soft skills.
Yeah. I think with communication straight off the bat, I think if you're even confident enough to even say that you want to get better is one thing. I think just trying to be concise and clear in what you're saying is another one, and not just almost taking segments of what you're trying to say. Yeah. Because you see it a lot where people walk in and go, I want a pay rise. You go, okay. Yeah. But it's different to kind of say, I've been here for X amount of time, this is where I want to go, and this is what it kind of looks like, and this is why you should invest in me. It's the same thing, just said in a completely different way, but you communicate in the right way. Because I think that the salary thing is always an interesting one, because I think a lot of people can get their guard up straight away when someone walks in to ask, but it's almost just thinking about it one step backwards and going, if I'm going to go in and ask for a pay rise, I need to show that I can offer something more. And ultimately, we only ever hire people for a function, right? But you also, that function can grow and develop. So if people want to kind of do that, have an idea of what it looks like in terms of what you've done, great, you've been paid for that, so where are we going? And actually outline that piece of it. I think people have a lot more success in those kind of reviews if they turn around and said, I've done X, Y, and Z, and you know I can perform loyal and all the great stuff, but this is where I'm heading, this is where I want to go, and this is why it's going to be a benefit to the company. Do you know what I mean? I feel that straight away would be quite a great way to communicate.
Definitely. I think the number one thing that I always remember is the word we use a lot, it's landscaping.
Landscaping, yeah.
It's like, communication isn't just saying something clearly and confidently and concisely, but it's explaining the wider context. And I think that's something that a lot of people miss out on as well, because they hear, you need to be clear, you need to be concise, you need to be to the point, but that's all well and good, but if you're not giving any sort of context around it at all, like you just said in terms of asking for a salary review, I'd like a raise is clear, concise, to the point, but there's no context around it. There's no substance. And I think if you landscape it in terms of, I've done some really great work here, I want to do X, Y, and Z, this is why the company will benefit, and it's being clear and concise, but with giving the context and the landscape around it as well. I
think it's one great example. It really is. And that also works with, I think empathy is a big one as well in terms of soft skills. That in business, that seems to me one that gets left to the wayside a lot. Pressure gets in the way a lot, just KPIs and that kind of stuff, just doing your job. But I think one thing I've learned within business in general is that it is people buying from people. That's it. Unless you've got a strong brand, unless you're like a fashion brand like Nike or whatever, you're buying from people, particularly like in a B2B environment. If you're a salesperson, you're a consultant like what we do, you're going in North Reach over the banner, but they're buying from you. And if you can't understand why you're doing what you're doing and why it's so important to the other person you're selling to, you'll only get so far as well. So I think that's something to really think about when you talk about soft skills, is going, okay, I can offer this service, this product, this whatever it may be to you. So if I was trying to sell to you, you could buy from me, you could buy from a million other people like me, but why do you buy from me specifically? Is it because I listen? Is it because I make you laugh? Probably not.
I don't know.
Is it the way I look? There's loads of things. But empathy is such a great one, just to have, I could put myself in your position, I know why this is important to you. And then you've got something in common. So I think empathy is a great one. And that's, for me, empathy, I think, should be an easier one to get your head around, because all you've really got to do with empathy is actually listen in terms of what the other person's saying. That's it. Definitely. Don't think about the next thing you've got to say. Just actually listen to what they're saying, and then try to get on a level with that. Get them to understand, or show them that you understand where you're coming from, or they're coming from. And automatically, that kind of relationship is being built.
It's so important, and I think that's the whole premise of what soft skills are as well. It's not just being able to talk and communicate, but the communication bit, the actual listening side, is so important as well. Like, how many people skip over that, and you say, like, you've just been talking and talking and talking. You're just talking at someone. You're not actually listening to what they're saying. And I think, what's the saying? 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you should listen listen twice as much as you talk. But a lot of people try and fill the gaps and fill the empty pauses because they feel uncomfortable.
Silence as well.
That's a lot to be said in that as well.
I think so.
Might not work well on a podcast, but
maybe not. But it is. I've always found it's quite a powerful tool. You don't have to fill every single gap, and actually, sometimes the first person who speaks first loses. I think that's a big one.
Definitely.
It can get awkward. I've done it once or twice in my past, where, particularly in a sales job, when you're closing, that silence piece can make or break it, and you have no idea how powerful that is. Because the person on the other end, their mind is just spinning, just waiting for you to say something to react. So you don't give them anything, they have to say something, and it's just about holding strong. And I've had to do it before. I've just got to go, literally, hand over my mouth, you're not speaking. And it could be like 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Feels like a lifetime.
It is like a lifetime.
Feels like a lifetime.
And sometimes it works really well. Sometimes it doesn't at all. They go, hello, are you still there?
That's the worst one to go, hello? You just have to pretend the line's gone dead. But we've even sometimes just actually having a pause on things as well. Like, how many times have we had brainstorming sessions and, someone's saying this, someone's saying that, we're throwing ideas out there, and then it's just, there's a bit of a sort of lull. And then you just sort of gives you time to readjust and then focus in on what's important. Especially when you're doing things like that, and in a meeting where there's multiple different thoughts all kind of being thrown out there, just to have the pause and go, right, okay, let's think about this.
I think soft skills, I think almost like that's almost prioritising in your head of when to say things, and like you say, to reconfigure in some cases if you are doing a brainstorming session. I found the same when you replying to emails. Some people are so quick to reply to emails, but you're not thinking about what you're doing. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I was like, some people. I'm just thinking about that.
People. Yeah. Like, it happens a lot. You've seen it. I've got to reply to it now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, do you?
Yeah.
Is it that urgent you need to reply now? Do you need to think about it before you reply? Because the amount of stuff you can end up sending, and you kind of go, why did I send that?
Yeah.
Because I haven't thought about it, because it was just an automatic response, because people can live in their emails. That's another skill to learn. And that's just pausing, to your point. It's just literally just take a pause, take a minute. No one's going to, die, depending on the profession, but not in our profession, and not going to die at least. What we do is important, so just take the time to get it right. And I think anyone around you would respect that if you just took a minute to make sure you got it right. No one's ever going to have a moan up if you just literally just planted something straight back at them, going, oh, brilliant, you got back to me quickly. They're not worried about the quick bit, they're worried about the content you're putting into it.
Definitely. If it takes you an hour, how many times do you write an email, delete the whole thing, rewrite it,
usually
delete
I'm angry.
the whole thing? Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of times it's great to take that pause, because your reaction is to go, and then you send it and you go, why have I done that?
Yeah.
Whereas really, if you just take a breath and just go, right, okay, let's analyse the situation, let's just take a bit of time to reflect.
That's a huge one. I notoriously used to get quite angry with situations and all sorts. And there was one particular instance, I remember it so well. I was working with this client and they had to let someone go. But their reasoning for letting them go, in my opinion, was such bullshit. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I rung the client and basically had a go at them and told them if they want to get rid of him, you should do it. It was one of our contractors, but I said, no, you should do it. So I'm not getting involved. And I said, if you do it, I'll take this further, and I got so angry. And then the next day I thought about it, I thought, no, they had every right to do that. And I had to actually ring her back and go like, hey, I had a go at you yesterday.
Yeah, just sort of looking down, just sort of swinging your legs.
Yeah,
like,
it
really
was.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was. It was just take a minute, understand what's happening from the other side, because sometimes you only get portions of the truth, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think taking a pause is definitely a skill. But that, I think, is a hard one to kind of just say, oh, that's an easy one to learn if you're so quick at doing things. But just try and think about that for a minute. As if you take a pause, you can make ultimately a better decision. It's not to say take forever and start procrastinating whether or not you should make a decision or not, because that's even worse than making the wrong decision.
Yeah,
it's just try to make a measured decision. Get other people's interpretations and ideas before you send something, before you say something. I used to ring Amy all the time. Literally, when I was definitely in my old firm, if something happened at work with a client or whatever, I would go outside, have a cigarette, and I'll just vent at her for 5 minutes and just talk absolute shit. And I'd be like, right, okay, I've got to go now.
Yeah.
And then just go, okay, back in the room. Things like that, just to bring yourself back to a level, really help, I found.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one thing that we do well, because obviously this is ups and downs in recruitment, like any role. Yeah. But I think just having people that you can just vent to and just listen. A lot of times when people are doing it, I don't need answers. I don't want you to reply. Some of my pals, they try and give me options. I'm like, look, don't solve my problem, just listen to it.
Yeah.
I know how I need to solve this problem. I just need someone to listen to me talk about it for 3 minutes before I send an email that I'm going to regret. Which is the case a lot of times. You get an email from your boss late and you go, can't be asked. You signed an email, chompy email back, and you go, well, what's the point? Yeah. You just vent to someone and it's done.
Yeah, same end.
Yeah, and I think it's not letting your emotions get the better of you. It's good to obviously have emotions and actually, feel what you're doing, but don't let them get the better of you and sort of take control. You need to sort of take that time, and I think that emotional intelligence is something that
it's a tough one.
So hard to identify in people, but it's such an important trait to have at any level, and I think that's the big thing that we've kind of maybe not spoken about as much, and they kind of mentioned it earlier, but soft skills isn't just for leaders, it isn't just for managers, for trainees, it's everyone. I think in every profession. I can't think of a single profession where you don't need to have good soft skills.
No, I can't think of any.
Like, there's no job in the world where you don't have to talk to people.
Oh, traffic warden.
Oh yeah, traffic wardens, yeah. Yeah, traffic wardens, yeah. They have no soft skills. But
you've got to just be resilient. That's the only thing you've got to do, I think.
Yeah. And a good traffic warden probably has exceptional soft skills in terms of being able to deliver that news face to face.
Yeah, tough one.
Yeah, I would not want to be a traffic warden, that's for sure.
No. So hat off.
Absolutely.
Mr. Traffic Warden on Billericay High Street.
Absolutely.
Thank you for finding me every time I'm illegally parked. Appreciate it.
Yeah. It's definitely a pain.
Emotional intelligence. Didn't touch on this, but we have done now. How would you describe emotional intelligence?
That's a loaded question. I think emotional intelligence for me is being able to understand the importance of personalities and how your words can impact others and how your words can actually influence others in business and in life in general.
Yeah.
I think it's quite open for a lot of people. What's your kind of interpretation of emotional intelligence?
Mine is basically the world doesn't revolve around you. You just stop being an ignorant twat.
Okay.
Partially. I think, honestly, that is a big part of it for me, because you just have to be aware that there are other things around you going on that impact the world. And I think the more you can identify with that, the better your emotional intelligence can be. So in a work capacity, is to know that your job is important in a collective of roles that are important. It's not less or more, it just is as. And just because you're going through a hard time or whatever it may be, everyone's going through a hard time, everyone's going through something. And it's like, stop kind of pushing your shit on other people. And I think that's one.
Yeah.
It's knowing when to do it, I think, is it, and when the boundaries are being broken, particularly if you are being pushed into situations that are completely unfair or immoral, whatever it may be. For me, that's your kind of moral compass, and that's your emotional intelligence kind of speaking to you. And you either sit on one or two camps, or in between nearly, is either I ignore it completely and put my morals to the side and I just get on, or I actually think about this in a constructive way, why this is important to me, and then stay my ground. And you don't see this that often, luckily, around ultimately being forced to do things you don't want to do, particularly like a work capacity. If you really don't agree with something, you always have a choice.
Yeah.
And it's always thinking about it, going, I'm either going to voice that opinion and stay strong to it, or I'm just going to put it all to the side and just shut up and get on. Or moan about it.
Yeah.
The moaning part for me, I don't know, I just don't have much time for it, because you have a choice. And again, because in a work capacity, if you're not happy, then don't be here. It's that simple. No one's got a gun to your head. No, not in the places we work anyway.
Yeah, I hope not.
I hope not. You have a choice, so make it. But don't whinge about it. That really winds me up.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think there's always, I've got to balls this up, but it's the circle of change, circle of control. Circle
of concern.
I think it might be change, concern, and the premise effectively is it's a
circle of concern and a circle of control.
Yeah.
So your circle of concern is everything around, right? So that's all the things that are going on, but you cannot control that. Yeah. You have an inner circle, which is your circle of control. So these are all the elements that are going on in my life that I can control. And I can directly impact. If I make a decision right immediately now, I can make a change. The rest of it is all the circle of concern.
Yeah.
So your circle of concern ultimately will be plastic in the oceans. That sits your circle of concern. Your circle of control is what you decide to do with that. You're not going to tackle that whole thing all at once.
No.
The circle of control bit might be, I'm going to just recycle properly, or whatever it may be, or use less plastics, or go to different places that do more like free range fruit that's not in packaging, whatever it may be. Buying toothpaste that hasn't got like micro plastics and stuff in it. It's a big one. You know that?
No.
Remember that? So I think it was, I don't know what brand it was, and I'll probably get sued if
Let's just not use any names.
Let's not use any names. They were putting basically like microplastics in toothpaste.
Why?
I think it was basically so it's abrasive, so it got rid of plaque and that kind of stuff. But ultimately, you're brushing your teeth,
right?
Spin it out, and all that is going into the drains, and ultimately kind of end up back into the ocean.
Well, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
it seems like that. Surely it must be like, can't be good for your body either, right? Because I saw the thing about just general drinking water. There's microplastics now that are in, even I think it's bottled water as well, because it's just so impossible to get out once it's there. So, to be fair, I don't think we use any sort of disposable items in the office in terms of like food wise. Everyone's got packaging, but otherwise everyone's got either flasks or flasks are not the right word to use, is it? Flask is like
flask, yes.
Yeah.
Well, they're just bottles, aren't they?
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah. But rather than just like bottled water.
Yeah, I've got my head around that. But either way, segue, huge one.
Yeah.
But motion intelligence, I think that's a big one. I don't think anyone has it right 100%. It's still a balance, it's still a scale on it.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately that's the premise for me, is just to think about you are important as an individual.
Yeah, that's such a big one. That resonates quite a lot. It's like, just because it's important to you and your job right now, if you look at the wider picture, how important actually is it? And you have to think people have got things going on in their life. I think in this job and as well, we're so quick to go, it needs to be done now. I want to make things happen. I need to get this booked in. I need to do that. But like you said, you don't know what people are going through in the wider, in their own lives. What else is going on in their work? Just because it's number one priority for you, it doesn't mean that it's number one priority for everyone else in the whole world.
That's right.
And it's just being able to kind of think of it and go, okay, right, I won't send that 5th email today. I'll just sort of calm down and, you know.
And let's face it, this is quite deep and philosophical in a way, but what have you got to feel so confident about on a grander scale of things? We're literally on a ball of like rock and ice and whatever in the middle of space, hurtling round a bloody fireball at God knows how many miles an hour, with a meteorite could hit the Earth at any one point. What do you actually have to feel confident and secure about?
Yeah,
dude,
that's mind blowing.
That should be for the late night show.
Yeah, the late North Reach.
Late North Reach on the Patreon, £3 a month.
I thought it was £5.
£5 a month.
Late show £3. Late shows.
Late. I like it. We got to do that.
Yeah, that is quite mind-boggling as well. You think how many years has civilization been around? Is that email really the most important thing that you have to send at 9 o'clock at night to the whole team on a Sunday?
That's exactly right. The work might be important and the rest of it, but I think it's just always trying to remember this perspective in it. And don't get this wrong, people rely on jobs for incomes and support and all those types of things. I think the whole point here really is just to identify that it is not the worst thing in the world if you wait a little bit to make sure that those emails, those messages, that communication, that meeting you have is done correctly. No one's ever going to attack you for that. If they do, then you've got a choice to really make.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I would have thought. So there's a lot to unpack with soft skills ultimately.
Yeah. So the final question then.
Yes.
What would you rename soft skills to?
Bloody hard skills. Double hard skills.
Yeah, double hard skills.
Double hard skills.
You've got hard skills, which are engineering, manual work, technical skills, and then double hard skills.
What would you call them?
I asked a question, so
that's
why I asked it first. I was trying to think about this.
What would I rename them? I mean, how would you classify them, right? So we're talking about communication, empathy, emotional intelligence. We kind of discussed. There are only a couple, really. I suppose it's being charismatic. That's definitely one, isn't it? In terms of a soft skill, confidence. I don't know.
But to be fair, I use the term people skills a lot.
People skills.
Because in effect, soft skills are
people skills.
People skills. What's your ability to work with people like?
They are all the soft skills. Yeah, I think you nailed it. You come in knowing the answer.
I genuinely didn't. But then I was like, what would I call it? And then I asked the question because I thought I'm not going to answer that. And then as I was asking, I thought, people skills. I'll let it sit for a while.
People skills. No, I like that.
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. And actually, you can sell that a lot better.
Yeah.
And say, what are your people skills? It almost means it resonates more. I think.
I think the connotations of just the word soft aren't wholly positive.
No.
But when you say technical skills, or I suppose people just call them skills, right? Competencies and skills.
Competency skills, people skills.
It's like, here are my soft skills. It's almost like they're not valued as much. Whereas people skills, it gives you the wider view.
I think it works also because, like you said, soft skills almost make it sound like it's not as important. So, and what are your soft skills?
Yeah.
It's going to go, well, I can talk.
Yeah.
I can communicate well. Okay, cool. But actually say, what are your people skills then? It's a bit more of an open question as well.
Yeah.
It's directed at how you ultimately interact with other human beings, which is exactly what the soft skills are all about.
Yeah.
There you go. We should completely just
copyright that.
Flip the script. We're changing it. We don't have soft skills anymore. We have people skills.
Yep, definitely. I think it sounds a lot better.
Yeah, me too. Like it.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think there's much more to say on this matter at the minute. I mean, there's a lot. Again, we could talk about it for ages, but I think ultimately, for me, that is the main premise of it. So we now know what a soft skill actually is, and the word soft is completely wrong, at least in this kind of context we're talking about. It really is about how you interact and engage with people in every element of that way, and ensuring that within that you have this circle of control and circle of concern. You try to impact as much as you can in that circle of control without being a knobhead to others.
Yeah. I think that's the general premise of people skills. I think you said that perfectly. Just don't be a knobhead.
Just don't be a knobhead.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Can we trademark that as well?
Can we so people skills and don't be a knobhead.
People skills, don't be a knobhead. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, until the next one then, mate.
Until the next one.
Thanks very much.
And you.